What's up, guys? My name's Local. I've been wanting to get into content creation for a while now, and I figured there's no time like the present, so welcome to my first video. I got a few things that I want to cover here, and I'll just lay them out for you real quick. Firstly, I just want to talk a little bit about who I am, why I'm starting the series, some different goals I have for my account, and the goals that I have for content creation of what you can expect on the channel going forward. Alright, so let's start at the beginning. Like I said, my name's Local, and I've had a desire to make old school content for a long time. But honestly, what's prevented me from making content for so long is just a lack of ideas. We all know that Old School has some of the best content on YouTube. Anywhere from region-locked Ultimate Iron Man accounts to stuff like Gillinor games, just insane production value. And I've always wanted to contribute to that content scene, but I just didn't know how to in a meaningful way. So I've been brainstorming a lot of ideas on, what type of content I could make that might be interesting, and kind of what I came up with is I feel like the content scene really just lacks the perspective of a totally normal player, right? Now, obviously, don't get me wrong. Part of the fun of watching series like Swampletics or Gillinor games is seeing some of the most insane gamers doing some crazy stuff, right? And I just feel like some of that stuff's not super representative of the average player. I've got stuff going on. I've got a 9 to 5. I have a wife. We just had our first baby back in November, and I've got other hobbies that take my attention away from the game, and this has prevented me from getting to where I want to in Old School RuneScape. And I'm sure this has happened to a lot of us. So I guess this brings me to my second point, which is, why am I making this series? And mainly there are two reasons that I want to start this series. So first, really I just wanted to make a series that shows, my account, where I am now and how I can make progress on my goals as someone who doesn't have, 80 plus hours every week to put into the game. Now the second reason is, I'm hoping that this will kind of motivate me as I'm, I think my lowest level is like 87 fletching or something like that, and we'll go over that here in a minute. But as you're getting towards that end game, right, I guess realistically the second half of the grind, right, it really becomes a slug, and it's kind of demotivating, right, and watching some of that high level content just makes it feel so far away. So I'm hoping that this will motivate me as well as some of you guys, just to I guess put it into perspective and say, hey, this is totally something that you can do. And so I guess really if this sounds like something that you could see yourself listening to while you're doing other stuff in game, hit that like and subscribe button and let's get into it. Alright, so I want to start with a little background on my account. So I'm a main, and I just honestly have not done a whole ton. I've fallen victim to every progress trap known to man, from buying and selling gear based on what content I want to do at the time, to giving up on learning a boss or a raid after failing a few times. So before I get into talking about some of this, I want to talk about my history with the game. So I first actually started playing RuneScape back in, oh man, I can honestly never remember if it was 2005, 6, or 7, one of those 3 years. But honestly, it doesn't really matter what year it was, because I was so young. I think at the time I was 10, 11, or 12, right? And I can't remember which YouTuber had said this recently, but they said that a lot of us when we were younger just treated Old School or I guess at the time it was just called RuneScape, but we treated it as medieval Club Penguin, and I laughed so hard at that because I'm it's so true. I never did anything, I never had membership. I would literally just walk around and talk with my friends, and I really wanted to get, I think black armor was the furthest I got. I wanted to get rune. Yeah, I never even knew that fire capes existed, God Wars dungeons, none of that stuff even occurred to me as a possibility. But it's funny because whatever I actually did do on the game when I was younger, I actually ended up having my parents block Miniclip and Jagex on the family computer because I got so addicted to the game. So joke's on them, because I can play it as much as I want, and I now have 176 days and 16 hours in the game, so really proved them right with that one, I guess. So anyway, yeah, I picked the game up back in 2018 when mobile came out, just, you know, because of the nostalgia for it. And after playing it for a little while, I, you know, started looking up some stuff on the wiki, and I was like, maybe I'll complete some of these free-to-play quests. And I came up with the goal of, you know, wanting to get my account to the point where, you know, I could just sustain it with bonds, right? That was back when bonds were like 3 or 4 mil. And so it was a lot more realistic back then. So I was like, yeah, I'll pay for membership, and then, you know, once I, you know, am progressed enough to where I can just, you know, afford to buy bonds, I'll cancel the membership and just pay for it with bonds. So that never happened. Now I'm here, you know, I'm obviously, I'm still paying Jagex every single month for this game, much to my chagrin. But, you know, I'm having a blast, right? So as soon as I found out my wife was pregnant last year, I was like, dude, I would love to max my account before our baby gets here, right? And so I did woodcutting and realized that that is never going to happen. So I was like, okay, well, you know, maybe I'll just like, I guess keep working on it and maybe see if I can max before sailing comes out. So that's kind of my current goal is I want to max before Jagex releases sailing. And so you can see I'm kind of doing it one at a time, and you'll look at my levels here and you'll be like, why do you have such like random levels, like 87 fletching, 88 hunter, 87 construction? The reason that my levels are so whack is because at one point in my maxing journey, I decided I wanted to do one level at a time. And that was a horrible decision, right? I didn't realize that that was like something that people subjected themselves to as a form of torture. I just figured, hey, maybe that's a good way to like change things up, but then I just realized it's like, okay, maybe the best thing to do is just to like grind it out like one at a time. So yeah, I started maxing, and as far as the order in which I'm going, like I said, I kind of started with woodcutting when it comes to like my skills. I'm lucky enough where I don't work from home, so I can't just like have rune light up on my left monitor while I'm, you know, just working. But my job is like lax enough that I can like have my phone out and do some like fairly AFK activities, right? So you know, I would just have my phone on my desk while I was chopping trees, right? And so I got 99 wood cutting, and I did that with an Infernal Axe while I was waiting for the Wintertot update to come out. So as soon as they updated Wintertot, that is when I, you know, maxed fire making, because those changes were just so much better. After I did wood cutting and fire making, I believe I moved on to fishing after that. So the idea here is like I'm doing this in an order that's going to, you know, allow me to like gain XP and other skills. So that's why I did runecraft. Now I'm doing agility, trying to do as much sepulcher as I can. Obviously I don't have a ton of time to like sit here and grind it out for hours and hours. I'm looking forward to being done with agility, man. I don't hate it as much as I hated runecraft, but it's definitely not nearly as AFK, and it's like I'm at risk for getting in trouble for being on my phone too much while I'm doing this, because it's like you do have to look at your screen a lot more with agility. But you do get like passive construction and thieving XP, so that's kind of nice. After that, I think I'll do construction just to get the cape, and then we'll just kind of go from there and you know, see what happens. I'll bet you I want to do mining after that, because that's another slow skill, and then I'll pretty much have all the slow skills out of the way, and you know, then we can just kind of like breeze through all the other skills, right? So again, yeah, that's my goal, is to get that done by August. So if you guys have any tips on like, you know, ways that I can speed that up in my current situation, that would be awesome. Yeah, to run over you know, like boss KC, you know, combat tasks, you can see like my highest boss kill count is the Kraken. That's literally just because it's like super AFK. My top raid is Tombs of Amasket because I have no friends who play this game. And TOA is just one that you can do on your own, right? You know, not a ton of boss kill count, like a total of 7,000 bosses killed, 64 raids, right? So it's like, yeah, so Chambers of Zarek, I've got 19 completions here. I got an Ancestral Robe Top, and I, you know, did a split on that. I had no idea how that works. That was like my third raid, I think, that I got that. You know, thanks to the guys that we do raids for, you know, carrying me through those first few completions. Theater of Blood, nothing here. I've only done the entry mode for the quest, right? I want to do some more TOB, especially because the scythe is worth almost 2 bill now. TOA, I got a bunch of these, like, you know, I did few entries. Mostly did some regular ones. And I've done, you know, one expert. I've gotten virtually nothing from that raid. So again, you can kind of see like this is my problem here. Is like I do a raid. And I'm like, okay, well, I didn't get anything, even though I didn't really perform well. So I just quit and I move on to different content. I sell whatever gear I didn't need, and so that's kind of my curse, right? So as far as like PVM grinds, like while I'm doing my skilling, I am working on some PVM stuff. Now, what that looks like for me currently is I'm actually working on the Soul Reaper axe. And the guys in my clan were like, that's kind of a weird grind to be working on, which is like kind of true, I guess. But the reason that I decided I wanted to do that, here's my loot tab, right? Just all this garbage that I need to sell. The Executioner's Axe Head was the first piece I got. I was like, hey, I'm gonna lock myself at Vardorvis because I want to get the Ultor ring and get a fat 200 mil from that, right? So I started doing Vardorvis, and I got spooned the axe head at like 50 KC, right? I had no idea what the Soul Reaper axe really did or how to build it, but I saw the axe head and I looked it up, and I was like, yo, this is like worth 300 or 400 mil, right? That's how much it was now. It's close to 500 mil now. So I was like, sweet, you know what? Like, I have always wanted to, you know, get in and like grind, like basically lock myself to a specific boss where I know I can make money to, you know, really just help progress my account, right? So I went ahead and did that. I got the axe head and I'm like, okay, all right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna build the Soul Reaper axe. And so after I did that, I moved on to Duke, right? Got myself the Eye of the Duke. I can't remember. I want to say it's like 250 KC. Yeah, no, 235. Yeah, so I got spooned pretty well on that one too. And I think I left right as soon as I got that one. I was like, okay, I'm done with Duke. The setup for that boss is awful. Now this was back in like July of 2024, and since then I have been stuck at Leviathan, right? This boss is really making me pay for it. You can see I've got 1600 KC. I need to go get that 1600th. And no Leviathan's lore. The drop rate on this is 1 in 762. And I'm just like, I'm dying here, man. 11 chromium ingots. I did get a Venator vestige at like 500 KC, and I just got this Virtus Robe bottom last week, so that was pretty sweet. I'm due for another one of these pretty soon, right? Because I mean, it's been 1,000 kills since I got the Venator vestige. But I'm just looking for the lore, right? You know, like obviously that'll be nice for the cash stack, but frankly, like a couple nights ago, I was so mad. I was sitting here and I got a chromium ingot at like 15 and 97, right? And then 2 kills later, I got another chromium ingot, and I'm like, dude, that's the same drop table as Leviathan's lore. So I just I turned the game off at that point. I was like, okay, yeah, I need to take a little break from this. But yeah, so that's kind of my current grind. So kind of next week, what I am gonna be posting a video about is some progress with Leviathan. And now I guess this does bring me into my final point that I wanted to make in this video, and that is just my goals with content creation. So honestly, anytime I get the icebreaker question, what was your dream job as a kid? I literally always say YouTuber, right? When I was young, I made dozens of Lego videos that I uploaded to YouTube, literally some of the worst content you've ever seen. But back then, I spent like every day just grinding out content on Windows Movie Maker, right? And since then, I've always wanted to do more content, but again, I don't have the skills and the consistency that I know it takes to be a content creator. Now, with that being said, I'd love to upload a video, once every week. I want to show my progress, going over updates to my account and just kind of going from there, right? So now again, let's go over one more time just what I'm working on now. Working on the Soul Reaper axe, my first real PVM grind. Working on maxing, so agility is what we're working on now. There are a few other things that I want to do down the road. Namely, I need an Infernal Cape, right? Because I don't want to sit here with a max cheese cape, right? I got to get my Infernal Cape before I max. I also obviously want to get max gear, and I'm thinking with that you saw my bank value was like 1.09 bill or something, so it's like I'm getting close to being able to afford at least, you know, one of those mega rares, and I'm honestly not really sure which route I want to go. I think I want to do a rebuild, but like I just don't know exactly which mega rare I want to go for. Like a lot of people say Twisted Bow, you know, because it's just like it's so versatile. Obviously, like the Scythe is the most popular right now. That's why it's so expensive. So I don't think I'll be able to do a Scythe rebuild anytime soon. But you know, again, I should be able to do like either a T-Bow or a Shadow rebuild here soon. Maybe you guys can help me decide which one of those I want to do. So I think maybe like, you know, once I get to that point, I can actually kind of transition the series a little bit into like you know, progress on doing a rebuild, right? So I think that would be kind of cool. But you know, really, so just to kind of end the video here, I'd love to have you guys on this journey with me. So again, please drop a like to get this to more people, and subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks.